These 5 simple tips will instantly make your thumbnails look 10 times better when applied correctly. Thumbnails play a key role in whether a viewer decides to click on your video, so it's crucial to make them as attention-grabbing as possible. Today, I'll show you how to easily add each of these tips into your thumbnail design process. Alright, I am here in Photoshop and I'm going to be showing the first tip, which is adding glow to your designs. It's a really easy method that you can apply to all your future thumbnails. So here, I already have this text that says designs, and I'm going to want to make this kind of glow. So what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna duplicate this by pressing Ctrl J. There we go. Then if you have any drop shadow or stroke like I do, just hide them. Then you're gonna want to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then it's gonna ask you to rasterize the layer. Just press rasterize. Then you're gonna want to go to the blur, and then you're gonna play around with the settings and see which looks the best. So somewhere in the 30s is what I like, so I'm just gonna press OK, and there we go. We have this kind of glow effect on it. You can play around with the opacity as well to not make it as intense, so like this. It still looks a lot better from the original. It spices it up and it just makes it look a whole lot cleaner as well. And our next tip is adding gradients instead of just boring flat colors. So here we have this text which is just a plain yellow, and it looks alright, but gradients usually make it look a bit nicer and a bit more professional, even if they're very subtle. So we're gonna go here, double click, and then we're gonna want to go to gradient overlay, click that, and then you're gonna want to make it whatever you want. I'm gonna make it an orange at the bottom, and then it goes up to a yellow. I usually like having the darker color on the bottom. There you go. You can see that subtle gradient effect. And yeah, this is just a simple tip that you can add to your text and your thumbnails that just makes it look a lot more professional. Alright, and my next tip is graphic elements, like adding arrows and circles to your thumbnails to make it feel like a more complete, full design. So I'm gonna go over here with the brush tool, and I'm gonna draw out my arrow, go like this, and then make our arrow. So we're just gonna want to go ahead and fill it in. Then we're gonna want to go to layer styles, stroke, add an inner shadow. So we're gonna want to make the distance higher. Change the angle to whatever you like. I like it like that. This looks good. Turn the opacity a bit down. Then I'm going to want to add a gradient overlay so it has a bit more of a gradient effect, just like I showed earlier. Then we're going to want to add another inner shadow. Turn the opacity up. Make sure the color is white. And then change the blending mode to screen. Turn the choke all the way up. Turn the size down so it's just like that. And there we go. We have a pretty good arrow element. Alright, and for my next fourth tip, I'm going to show a testing method that I use for my personal thumbnails, like the one I have here. And basically what you're going to want to do is when you're in Photoshop, you usually need to account for the devices your viewers are going to watch on. So a big portion of your audience is probably watching on their phone or mobile device like an iPad, so they're probably going to be seeing your thumbnail a lot smaller than the resolution on Photoshop or on your desktop. So I'm going to press Ctrl minus and make it smaller, and this is going to be more how your viewers is going to see it. So you always test to make sure you could see it well and understand what the thumbnail is about, even if it's smaller, just like this. I can still see Iman Gidji here, the text, and the Photoshop logo, so you can still get the general point across even if it's a lot smaller resolution like it would be on a phone. So this is very important for testing your thumbnails and making sure they can get a higher click-through ratio and people are still going to want to watch them. And for my final fifth tip is the rule of thirds grid, which is basically this grid that you see right here with the 9 squares. And I have a Mr. Beast thumbnail as well to show how his has really good composition. You use the rule of thirds grid to just have your thumbnails having better composition while you make them. You can see Mr. Beast falls into this section and a bit of this section, and the nuclear part, this factory door, is kind of on the left half of the screen. Usually you want your important elements to be in one of these quadrants pretty clearly, like his head here, his arms, and a majority of the door here is on this left side of it. Alright, so now I'm going to show exactly how to make the 3x3 grid for your composition. You're going to want to go to View, Guides, New Guide Layout, and you're going to want to turn on Columns and Rows, and you're going to want to make each of them 3. And in the gutter, you're going to want to make 0 for both of them. Just like that. And then you have a nice 3x3. So you can divide your composition nice and very clean. And you can have a more professional workflow. And the end result will look a lot better as well. Yeah, but go apply these 5 tips I shared in today's video to your thumbnail process. And trust me, your thumbnails are going to be a lot better. And also, if you're trying to find out how to make viral thumbnails like a pro and learn more tips, watch this video here.